was a player for a long, long time. Started in 1992, showed up at the Green Lake practice field after living in Seattle for 2 years and realizing I didn't really know anybody outside of my graduate student group. And I thought, well, the best way to, get back involved with a community is to go find the rugby team. And so I stood up on that hill watching the training for a little bit, then took a deep breath and just walked out and introduced myself. And the funny story that still haunts me to this day is they said, well, what position do you play? And I said, I'm a lock. And they looked at me, like, especially Marie, right, looking at me from her 6-foot status, and said, no, you're not. So I quickly became a prop and played from 1992 until probably about 2005, I'd say. Somewhere roughly, maybe 06, I'm not sure. And along the way, we got to tour in New Zealand and a Northwest Lakeside tour to Japan and another tour to England, I think, somewhere in there with the club. And it was just awesome. Yeah, so the goals for this season are to keep going. Right, we had a really successful fall. We played 9 matches and we lost one of them. Played 2 more matches after that one, and really won in just exciting fashion. It wasn't even just that we grinded out wins or anything like that. People were just playing beautiful rugby that was filled with continuity and flow and self-expression, and it was awesome to see. And yeah, so we want to keep going with that. If we can generate that sort of enthusiasm and enjoyment of play, and it's hard hitting and it's very hard work to play that way. But if we can enjoy that level of play, then people walk off the field feeling like, oh, this is all worth it. This is all worth it. And I'll show up at training when it's raining out because this is what it feels like when on the game day. And you know how that feels, Margo, with some of the matches that we've been involved in where you just walk off and it's like, did we win? Right? Because you're so gassed. But you played some beautiful rugby, and that's just, that's so satisfying in itself and so motivating in itself. So that's the goal, is to keep up that level of motivation, that level of, really fun rugby and spirited rugby. And also, it's we have a lot of depth right now, and the spring season is going to be a little more competitive. So the other challenge that I'm looking forward to, and also, navigating with the rest of our coaching staff, is maintaining our numbers at training, even though some of the folks may not be selected as frequently because the number of U.S. games we have goes down, the number of premiership games in BC goes up. And so maintaining that culture of inclusion and of everybody contributes because it's true, but to have everybody feel that. The other thing that I'm super excited about is that this year we were able to grow our coaching staff. And so for the past, X years, since I became director of rugby in 2018, I've been the head coach, and Marty Quick has been my really associate coach. And this year we were able to engage with some other folks. And so Reyes Langares, who's the previous coach back in 2015, 2016, when we won 2 national championships back to back, he was the head coach, and I was the forwards coach back then. Now we're transitioned into this stage, but Marty and I had a chat with him before the season started, and he was really enthusiastic about wanting to come back and wanting to coach rugby and specifically this team. And that enthusiasm is really contagious, I would say, between Marty and I and our other coaches, and then also with the players. They just love his level of enthusiasm and his true commitment. It's really awesome. And then the other 2 coaches are one is an old girl, Seattle old girl cousin, Jen Nolkamper, who is just contributing in all the ways that are super meaningful. Bringing that spirit of the old girls back into the team, and engaging in her funny humor that she has with the players, and they just love her and respond beautifully to her. And then Margaret Sharp from the Bay Area back when we were playing, and now lives here and has been involved with UW Rugby for a long time. And this year reached out and said, I'd love to come out and do some work with the women. And so she's part of the coaching staff now and really has contributed also in fantastic ways. So I love that we're growing. I love that there's more brains in the brain trust to move us forward. And it's been really effective so far. We'll have like 35 at practice. I think 36 has been our highest point. And we break up. When we do skill work, we break up, and it's usually me and cousin or Mango who take. We break them up into forwards and backs, but we do different sorts of activities with the forwards and backs, but the same intention, I guess you could say. And we'll have all these numbers. I'm like, okay, now even our group needs to break into two because otherwise people are standing around, So that's an awesome challenge. It's an awesome challenge, and that's where again. Reyes has been really tremendous because he's a coach educator, and and he's a world rugby educator, and so he's got all these tools in his toolbox to think about how to organize training sessions and that sort of thing, and that's been invaluable, and I'm sure that's why we continue to get the numbers. It's so interesting how the game has evolved and continues to evolve, I know you can relate to that, but just watching the match the other day, I'm sure that you thought, wow, this is different than how we played. And that's part of why I keep coaching, is because, the challenge is to stay up to date, which is not easy, but then to teach folks how to play in this dynamic and really wide style of play, and varied style of play. So the skill development has to be there no matter what position you're playing, and the understanding of what you want to accomplish, and then the self-belief to go ahead and be a decision maker no matter what number you have on your back, right? And so that's been the focus really, and we could, what we harped on for all fall was go forward, continuity, and possession. And I think you probably saw that in the game, where there wasn't, we really are challenging our players to go forward, break the line, use your footwork, and then get beyond, and then keep possession once we get there, and then, play off of that. And so we're blessed by having a collection of scrum halves that actually are able to accomplish that continuity piece, beautifully. If they can't, though, other people step in and move the ball. We're blessed to have folks who are so coachable that when we ask them to commit to, take one more step, do that little bit of extra footwork, that they do it. And a focus is going to continue to be, though, that possession piece, because, we're in this space where people understand the possession piece, but they also see the gap. And it's like, oh, I'm in the gap, if you could just get me the ball, but they're already engaged in the contact. So then we've got to figure out that sweet spot of, this time you're just going down, I'm just going to ruck over, and we're going to keep winning the ball that way. So that's going to be a focus, is decision making around the contact area. And defensively, we were more than adequate this season, but we need to address a couple things in terms of cohesion, and the recycling of our defense. So those will be a couple areas of focus. I'd say the strengths are that, one, we have a leadership team that is fabulous. Early in the season, the coaching staff was talking about captain selection, and really we want to put it to the players, but we also want to have some input, because of course the captains are so integral to communication between the players and the coaches, and communicating the style of play and all that kind of good stuff. Anyway, so because we play in two leagues, what the idea we floated and really discussed for a while was, should we have two sets of captains? And we decided, yes, we should. Yes, we should. And so it's fantastic because it it allows some of the leaders on our team who otherwise wouldn't get a chance to really develop those skills to develop those skills. And it also provides more of a feedback mechanism for the players, in terms of now they have actually 5, and I'll tell you about the 5th one in a second. 5 folks they can go to if they want to discuss something, or if they want to discuss their own development, but they don't necessarily want to talk to the coaches. So anything like that, we've empowered, certainly, I hope we have, the captains to be able to have those conversations. And they've been wonderful, and their leadership, all 4 of them, really shows. So those are the sort of the game day captains. And then, and this was actually Rez's suggestion, which I love, is he said, well, what about a cultural captain? And we're like, what's that mean? He's like, well, it's somebody who carries the culture of the team and who can lead in that way and can contribute in that way. And so that's Hattie McKay, and she epitomizes that as the inaugural cultural captain of the team. She's perfect because she brings this super actual, knowledge of rugby. I'm so impressed with her all the time with her knowledge of rugby, but also this real commitment to the club being a space where folks can come and just express themselves without judgment, without fear, in a really safe way, and develop. So it's been great, and the 5 of them have worked really seamlessly together. It means that we're on the right path. It means that, yeah, we're valued as a kind of a standard setter for how women's clubs should operate, and at the level of play, at the level of enthusiasm about the sport, at the level of respect for folks. It was a thrill to be present, to receive that award for the team, and or to accept that award for the team, I should say. And yeah, I mean, my heart was just so full when I went up there to get that award for the team, because they worked so hard. They worked so hard, and they worked completely for each other. And I love that about this team. And so to be honored for that means that, again, we're totally on the right path, and they're just to be acknowledged for that kind of commitment and selflessness, I think is motivating, right? And it keeps people wanting to show up and wanting to do it again. Give me an award next year because we do the work, not because we just got the award this year, but because we do the work to deserve it. On the most basic level, we play in a Premiership League, right, in BC, and we have a history of being really successful at the D1 level in the United States, and so for people who want to play at that level of competition, there's an attraction there. And we've gotten a lot of players over the past couple of years new to the club. Not new to rugby, though, which is a huge difference, right? In the past, back when we were around, it would be new to rugby and bring them through, and some players ended up being super successful. But a lot of folks didn't, right? And now we're getting players who have played in college, because the college game has grown so much, and played at a pretty high level in college, and now they want to continue and move into the club realm and still play at that level, and or develop more skills. And so we've also had some transfers from other clubs who are desiring more skill development. And so I think that understanding that our club has been successful at this kind of higher level for a long time, and also now once they dip their toe and they see that we have these coaching resources, and they see that we have this kind of leadership on the team, I think that keeps them around. And then there's a pipeline now. Not an official pipeline, I wish it was, but a pipeline of communication, at least, that, I'm loving playing for Seattle, and I'm loving, how I'm learning things, and I'm loving the success we have on the field and how it feels to be successful on the field. So I think that those are the things that attract people to the club. And beyond that, once they get here, they realize that this club is more than just about rugby, and that there are opportunities in the community to make a difference as well. And I have to attribute all of that to Kevin Flynn and his leadership at the club level. But many folks have been able to, many women in the club have been able to see themselves as more than rugby players because of that. And you know, the concept of being teammates goes beyond now the women's team and into the club. And how can we contribute, both men and women, to different community efforts and engagement with each other in that way. I mean, it really is a different sort of club because of that that aspect, both the community aspect and the fact that we have men's and women's teams. Certainly at the club level, we know that there's a lot of community engagement. At the team level, we have some of these young players from South Seattle, Tacoma, you know, whatnot, and some of their families have been coming and providing food for the post-match, and it's really, you know, like, that's beautiful, and that's part of rugby in a lot of other places in the world, and so to see that happen in little bits and pieces, you know, is really meaningful, and it's so meaningful to those players too, right? To have their families seen and appreciated, and so yeah, that's a cool minor thing. Some players, you know, in bits and pieces, like one or two players will be involved in some of the, you know, the Wounded Warrior workouts that Lenny organizes down in, you know, JBLM and that sort of thing. But yeah, I would say, and actually, I'm glad you brought it up, because I would say that this is something that that we can think about, is what is the community effort that as the women's team we could coalesce around, you know, and that would also be a place where we could bring in old girls and say, you know, here's what we're doing, and maybe you want to be involved in some way, you know, whatever it might be.